So in this video, we're going to be talking about clairaudience. Clairaudience is our hearing. So clairaudience is where we can hear sounds or words through our ears, or we can hear them in our mind. So you could be clairaudient if you were someone who received sounds that maybe other people didn't hear. You can hear whispers sometimes when you know there's no one else in the room. You can hear gifts of information or warnings or a new knowing or something that you never knew before, but you suddenly hear something in your ears. There's so many different ways that we can see if we are clairaudient, but obviously the most easiest way to know if you are clairaudient is what are you hearing? And it's not just the physical hearing of a sound or hearing something externally outside of our body that our ear is interpreting. It is also when we're hearing things on the inside. And by the inside, that's going to look different for everyone, but for me, it's your own inner hearing. It's similar to your own knowings that you have about things, but with your inner clairaudience, it'll be something that you hear. Sentences, words, descriptions on things. There's so many different ways we can hear it. And clairaudience is also the term that we can use for when we are connecting to our guides, our angels, our other versions of self, to loved ones who are crossed over, to other people on the other side, other collectives, other versions of self. And we're not going to go into all those different types because that's a whole conversation for another time. But when we are connecting to whatever we connect to, and even if you're someone who is religious and you believe in a God and you connect to a God, you could hear those messages as well, which would be also considered your clairaudience. So what is the benefit of clairaudience and how can it help you? And also, what can we do to help it along? I think with all our clairs, sometimes we may have some that are more dominant than others in the beginning. So there will be some that when we start doing this work, or we've decided that we do really want to tap into our clairs or into our own psychic skills, that there will be some things that come out a lot easier and maybe a little bit more prominent than some of the others. Of course, we can use all the tools, and I believe that we're all capable of using all the tools. But like with anything, I think it just needs a little bit of practice. If it is something that is not coming through as easily or as accepting as you are wanting it to be for your little human body who's trying to interpret what it is actually hearing. So there are some things we can work on to try and bring that in and try to make that skill something that you do feel confident in and something that is there for when you need it. And I don't believe that we can say, okay, I'm only going to hear messages through my ears and that's it. That's all I want to hear. Yes, you can set that intention, of course, and maybe that's what can happen for you. But I think sometimes when we tap into things like that, we may not always be 100% in control of which way they come in. We may get a clairaudient or something coming in through our hearing mixed with some sort of, claircognizance, some sort of knowing as well. So there could be some that may be combined. We could get a hearing with a taste or a hearing with a touch, or we could get something that's all of them together. So you never really know, but if you do just want hearing, of course, try and set the intention, but I don't think we really need to be focusing on just having one and that was it. I think if we are open to receiving, I think we're going to receive everything exactly in the best way that we need to. Back in the old days, I'm using these because we're talking about the old days. They used to talk about hearing voices. There used to be special people who used to hear these voices, and they would be like the prophets or the seers or the ones who were gaining this information and hearing things that no one else was hearing. They were fully in tune to being able to interpret these gifts and these new levels of information that was coming through their hearing, and then they were able to share that with the rest of the public. And these were sort of, well, there were two sort of schools of thought with the people who had these type of hearing things that they were sharing with other people, where they would either think, hey, you were totally crazy and there's just voices in your head, you need to go set yourself up in a mental institution because you are mad, or they would be revered because they were someone who had great knowledge and who was there to help the community or where they were from, to propel them forward or to forewarn them of danger in their life and what was going to happen to them, that this person could hear as well as see, or whatever the other senses they were, and be able to let other people know what was going to happen so they could be prepared or be ready for whatever they thought they would see or what was coming next. Another thing that you may also experience is sometimes that ringing in the ears, you know, the ringing or the loud hums. And I'm not talking about that tinnitus, which is an ear condition. It is literally you hearing a vibrational sequence or sound into your ear, which is giving you information or downloading something into your system. And I know a lot of people talk about, oh, if it's in the left ear, it's, you know, this, or if it's in your right ear, it's this. I don't think there is rhyme or reason to what's coming in where and how it will come in, when it comes in and how it comes in. And I think we can sort of just create our own belief around that, on whether this ringing that I'm hearing in my left ear doesn't always have to have a meaning unless you want to give it a meaning. You could create that awareness or that tool for yourself. That, okay, if my angels want to come in and contact me, they're going to do some ringing in my left ear. So you could create that. You could make that something that you want your body to be trained in, plus, you know, whoever's around you and how they come in. Otherwise, you could just let it be as it is and allow the things to come in as you want them to. I think maybe at the beginning stages, if we always just have the intention that what we receive is going to be correct and right and perfect, exactly what we need, I think that's probably all we really need in the beginning. Of course, as we get better and more in tune to our actual hearing, we will then be able to set more of those processes in for us to be able to train our body and the voices and whoever is coming in to give us those messages a way that works for both of us to receive the information easily, quickly, and, you know, without sort of interrupting anything else that you're doing. If you are really working on trying to tune into your psychic skills and you are really working on your clairaudience, I think the most important thing is for you to not dismiss anything that sort of happens, especially in the early stages. It can obviously change as you progress more and more into your skills, but allow those sounds, those words, that information to come through and trust that it's always correct, no matter what it is. It could be something forewarning you. It could be something telling you cheers of encouragement when you're about to do something scary. It could tell you something totally random that you're like, well, why do I need that? Or it could be a message or something that you need to pass on to someone else. But if we truly just sort of sit in the allowance state of allowing whatever's coming in and being really open to receiving, we're always going to receive whatever we need. Now, we've talked a little bit now about what it actually is. How can we get it working better for us? How can we tune more into it? Because I think it's a really great skill for us, especially if we are working on our connection to our guides or other versions of self, and that is another whole section where we will be talking about guides and other connections and things like that. That's probably going to be another whole module. But if you are someone who's already able to connect to something outside of yourself, whether it's a god, a guide, an angel, someone who's crossed over, a random person who's just come into your field to help you, whatever you believe in or whatever you do, or even if you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, these are like our Invisi team people that we have in our mind, if you like. They are connected or have come into us energetically, and they're on our frequency, and they're here to help us and guide us, not tell us what to do, but they're here to guide us and help us so that we can make sure that we're always doing what we need to and keeping us on our right track towards, you know, our highest timeline and our full potential of what we're here to be doing and being here in this earthly realm. So one of the ways that we can sort of get our clairaudience to work a little better so that we can receive these messages a lot more easier from the other people that we may connect with, we can actually ask our guides or our angels to help us tune in more to our clairaudience skill. We can ask them to clear out anywhere we are holding on to some words that we may have heard that hurt us, or beliefs that we have heard that we are still holding on to. We can allow our guides or our angels or whoever we have working with us to help release that, to allow only the information that you would love to receive or you need to receive to come in. So we can ask them to do that, and we can get them to work on that for us. We can also do a meditation where we can center ourselves into a nice quiet and centered state, and we can visualize beautiful white light coming into our ears, clearing up anything that is blocking us from receiving the information that we want or we need to hear. And I visualize it like a little white vortex. So it's like spinning around, it's cleaning out our ears. And as we're sort of in that meditative state, we're allowing that white light to come in. And as it comes out, if you can tell by my fingers, it's pulling it out. And if we can do that, we can do that. You can do that multiple times during the day. Just take a few breaths. You don't even need to be in a full, deep meditative state. But if you allow that or intend that, know that it's going to happen. It's going to clear anything that's clogging up your hearing or allowing new information to come in, and then set the intention that you are going to receive everything you need or everything you desire to help you in your everyday life. Another way we can practice to really sort of tune into what we're hearing is by listening to music. So whether it's your iPods, earpods, or headphones, put them on and listen to music and try and see what instruments you can hear in that music. Because it's very easy sometimes. You don't realize when you're listening to a song or something, you know, maybe it's a song that has a lot of guitar. So you're like, oh yeah, there's a guitar. But then when you listen, hang on, there's also sounds like a piano, or oh, there's drums in there as well. You don't realize that there's so many other sounds in there. And sometimes, you know, even try to listen to different beats. So sometimes when you're hearing a song and it's, you know, playing the beat of what the main track's beat is, so you hear the dun 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 dun, you tune in and see if there's any other little beats that you can hear as well as just the main beat. That's a really great way to sort of really try and train your ear into hearing different sounds and different things. Another thing you can do as well is just say you're near something that is quite loud. So a waterfall, or even just like a big motor, or maybe in a busy city, and then try and move away from it and see how long you can hear it. See how long you can hold that sound and see where it sort of fades out and where it sort of stops. That's another great way to really sort of tune into the sounds that you hear and how long, and practice sort of holding on to them in different spaces. And another one you can do in the public too is try to tune into all the sounds, especially in public places, because sometimes you can hear the general chatter or the general vibe or what the sound is of where you are, but try and tune into the other sounds as well. So just say you're in like a really busy food court, you can hear different people talking. See if you can try and tune into different people's conversations. See if you can tune into the different shops using the different machines and things, or tune into the other sounds you can hear in the background. Someone, tapping their cup, or someone walking really loudly. Just try and tune into that. You can do that out in nature as well. So even if you're out in the forest, try and tune into what birds can you hear, what animals can you hear? Can you hear the trees moving? Can you hear a lizard moving in the dry leaves or something like that? You can do it really anyway. You can even do it in your house. And I know I did mention that before shortly. I know I did mention that before in the other little module there about tuning in, but it does really help you, and it sounds really simple, and you can do it anyway. Like you could even do it while you're driving. You could listen to the different sounds of your car if you have the music off. You could have your window down and listen to the sounds when you're sitting there. So just really try all different ways to try and use your hearing. And a lot of those exercises I just spoke about do speak a lot more about the external hearing, but tuning into that external hearing is also going to help your internal hearing. So when we're working with our internal hearing of listening to things as well, we can tune into that by just sitting and being quiet. You can be in a meditative state. You can be in a real focus and aligned position within your body, and you can sit in that now moment and see what you hear. You could do some intuitive writing and write down some things that you hear, even if it's just your everyday thoughts. Why don't you just try and sort of sit down and see what you hear, or try asking a question about something and see what you hear. Like you could even do something simple, like just using a highlighter and say, okay, what do I need to know about this highlighter, and see what you hear. Start really sort of practicing listening to that inner voice that you hear. Do it with anything. You can even do it. Now you can really do this if you really want to. Do it with a crystal. You don't need a crystal, of course, but crystals will give you some amazing information once you can really tune into them. And even if you're not someone who's into crystals and you don't need to be, do it with whatever you have. You could do it with something really old you have, or even just get like a book or something and really sort of tune into what the book's about. Maybe even try getting a book that you haven't read and sort of hold it and see if you can hear what information you're going to learn from that book. Is this something that I need to read? Is this something that's going to help me? Or can you tell me about this book? There's so many different questions, but I really think it's in the practice and the allowing that you are really going to make a difference to what you are going to be able to tune into. Because once we give permission for our body and our mind to say, yes, I'm receiving my intuition, I'm receiving it through my hearing, I am listening to the words that I receive, and I'm listening to the sounds that I hear. They are really going to start allowing your body to allow more of that in, and there'll be less of that mind chatter saying, that's not real, no, you made that up type thing. So just start practicing and see how you go. Oh, don't forget, you need to work on the other clothes as well. So try the exercises in those ones as well. And then maybe when you listen to them all, maybe you could try using them all together. It's like with some of those techniques that I just spoke about, you can use them with the other clothes as well. I'll see you in the next video.